This is Darren Svader again with the Bay Area News Group, Mercury News, East Bay Times, here with Mike Lefkow. Mike, I think we're going to finally get some football in the North Coast section this weekend. Rain is due when? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow
on
and
Wednesday.
light rain on Friday.
All right. We think the smoke is going to clear. They did hold some cross-country championships in the NCS today. I heard they weren't able to finish all of the divisions. At least that's what our colleague Curtis Pashelka tells me. But I think by Saturday, they're going to get the games in.
Well, let's hope they do. It's been a long time. I mean, some of these teams have had 29-day layoffs now.
It's 29-day layoff.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope they get the games in. But I don't think it's assured. I've read a couple things that said, the smoke could come back.
If it's not assured, then we're in big trouble.
Well, I mean,
we're already in big trouble.
If they can't play this weekend, and they're going to have to take even more radical measures in the coin flip.
All right, well, we're going to get to that later, but let's talk about 29 days. I mean, these teams, I counted at least 7, maybe 8 of them that have not played since October the 26th. A couple of them obviously had those teams had first round byes in the playoffs, so they were supposed to play the weekend of the
November 9th and 10th. The Fire started the 8th.
Right. So those teams were not able to play that weekend, and then it's been postponement after postponement. It's been practicing indoors, if you can even call it practicing. How concerned are you about the potential? Well, not only rusty play. We can pretty much be assured that there's going to be a lot of rust out there. But given that these teams haven't been able to do football drills and hit in practice over the last 2 weeks or closing in on 2 weeks, is there a risk for injury going on out there?
Well, I keep hearing there is. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not overly concerned about it. I'm going to take the optimistic viewpoint that football is football, and I don't know that there's that much more risk for injury because of a 29-day layoff. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of rusty play. The hitting won't be crisp, but I'm going to be optimistic and say I don't think the injuries will increase that much.
I mean, you've been around football even longer than I've been around football. Have you ever, in all your time here, ever seen something like this happen where we've had a month layoff at the high school level between games?
No,
football.
This is the worst it's ever been. I mean, there have been Thanksgiving Day games since I can remember, but those would be 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So obviously these teams are going to, keep our fingers crossed. They will be playing on Saturday night. And let's also keep our fingers crossed that the rain comes in and they're able to practice maybe even tomorrow with better air, and also maybe get a morning practice in on Thanksgiving, and then maybe do some outdoor stuff on Friday before the game.
Yeah, well, the North Coast section teams are playing Saturday, so they might even be able to get a full.
Well, that's what I said. On Friday, they can get
a solid walkthrough in on Friday.
But practice in Thursday morning.
Right.
If there's clear air, and then they can go eat and get ready. Obviously, we've talked about this. How many times have we talked about this game? The Open Division semifinal game. The team that will play De La Salle in the final, it's either going to be Liberty or Clayton Valley Charter, and they're going to go at it, we think, finally, at Liberty on Saturday night. Liberty obviously was a fine-tuned machine a month ago. What do you think they will be Saturday night? How do you think Jay Butterfield and Sione Vaki and those guys are going to be after a month layoff?
Well, they're going to be like every team. They're going to be a little rusty, and a team that relies on the pass, they rely a little bit more on the pass than some other teams. You don't know how accurate Butterfield will be, how off his game will be a little bit.
I thought one telling point, we saw Palo Alto, which had a 15-day layoff on Saturday at Salinas High against Los Gatos, and Jackson Christ, Keller Christ's brother, who's thrown for a number of yards this year. I mean, huge number. He couldn't throw a simple out pass in the first quarter. I mean, he was throwing them in the dirt. And as the game wore on, He got better. They ended up rallying to win. He threw the winning touchdown pass in the fourth quarter, and then also ran for a touchdown to pad the lead. But I asked the coach at Palo Alto what advice he would give to the NCS coaches that are going to be off for 29 days, and he just said, "Be patient. Understand that there are going to be mistakes. There's going to be rust. Be patient. Let the game come to you, and don't worry if things aren't going right at the beginning."
Well, I mean, I think that's what's going to happen. The thing about Tim Murphy at Clayton Valley and Ryan Partridge at Liberty is they are two of the better coaches in the North Coast section, maybe two of the better coaches in Northern California. And I remember one comment that Partridge, the Liberty coach, made before the season when some of the scrimmages were called off. His whole thing was, yeah, you'll be rusty in the first quarter, but by the second quarter you should be able to get your touch back and be okay. Now, they were practicing, they just didn't get to scrimmage. But I think these coaches will be fairly patient. They'll take the advice of the Palo Alto coach. And I think it'll be a rusty first quarter. Who knows what's going to happen? And, the danger is it could decide the game. But I really think things will be okay. I don't think injuries will be that much of a factor. But then again, I covered that Monte Vista San Ramon game at the end of the season where two kids wound up in the hospital, and that wasn't after a long layoff. So that you never know.
Kel Preps, it doesn't appear, at least on the NCS side, has updated or taken into account. The computer's not taking into account the 29-day layoff. So in the Open Division, it is still predicting a Liberty victory, 38-21. I'm not sure it's even going to be that high scoring anymore, and I think it's going to be really tight. What do you think?
Well, I thought 38-21 was a little bit bigger gap when they were practicing. I still think it's going to be a tight game. Will it be that high scoring? I think it could be. But I don't see a 17-point difference.
Monte Vista still predicted to beat San Ramon Valley 21-17. We liked that score 3 weeks ago. I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere around there, maybe 17-14, 14-10 now after the 29 days. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, Monte Vista's still going to be relying on defense, and San Ramon, they've got to stop Tristan. Monte Vista's got to stop Tristan Sinclair.
What were some of the other talking points we got to address here with our?
Well, we were going to talk. What's that?
Our viewers. What are we going to talk?
There are going to be some good games this weekend. There's no question.
Especially in the CCS.
Menlo Atherton, Palo Alto. Those two teams are really licking their chops to go at each other. Oh my
goodness! I mean, I was in Salinas on Saturday, and they had a triple header there. So Palo Alto got done with its win, and the pit there at Salinas doesn't have a track. It's you're right on top of the field, and we're doing the interviews with the Palo Alto kids, and some of those kids are going back and forth not in a mean spirit, or it was genuine. These guys really want to play each other. Menlo Atherton was coming out to warm up for its game against Milpitas, and boy, Menlo Atherton passes the eye test when they come out for warm-ups. I mean, they are a big physical team with a lot of athletes. So they come out and they beat Milpitas, and afterwards a couple of their players are they can't wait to play Pally. These teams are separated. These schools are separated by 2.8 miles, and they have not played one another since a CCS championship game in 2007. 11 years.
Now, see, that's a game where I would be a little bit worried about injuries, but whether there had been a long layoff or not, because these kids are going to be super excited about this game, and that, to me, is where injuries might occur. Somebody is so excited, they haul off and do something they shouldn't do, and then you get an injury. So, let's keep our fingers crossed that this is a clean, hard-hitting game, but nothing serious happens. But that's going to be a very interesting game.
Right. And I'm trying to find that prediction here, which is a Saturday afternoon game. Remember, Menlo Atherton has a deal with its neighbors where it can only play, I believe, 4 night games a year, and they've already used all 4. So they're going to be playing at home. And remember, this is Menlo Atherton is seated higher than Palo Alto because the CCS did not give Palo Alto an extra PowerPoint,
Right,
quote unquote PowerPoint, because the CCS did not recognize McClymonds as a league champion.
Well, you know, when you haven't given up a point all year to your league opponents,
And scored what, about 1,000?
that's not convincing enough.
No. So Palo Alto lost that point and then lost a blind draw with Menlo Atherton at the CCS seating meeting. So they are going on the road, going to really pack their bags for this one to go the 2.8 miles. Can walk that, right?
Well, you know, in defense of CCS, I mean, they have rules. They were told McClymonds had not won the championship. What are they supposed to do?
I think
Just give them a point?
I'm wondering if they were told they had not won the section championship, which they haven't. I think they've won the league championship.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And that's what CCS was looking at. I mean, they should have been told they are our league champion. You look at their bylaws; they are the league champion. Now they're in the Oakland Athletic League section playoffs to determine which team moves on to state.
they didn't get it specified. They've got their rules. I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, somebody should have called back and said, are we talking about a second championship or are we talking about an OAL championship? Apparently, nobody did that.
I guess not.
I
Or
mean-
maybe the OAL is even confused. I have no idea. But anyhow, Palo Alto is a 3 seed because it lost the blind draw and didn't get the bonus point. And now we'll be going on the road for a Saturday afternoon game, which last week the coach of Palo Alto said he was concerned because his team played a 1 o'clock game against Los Gatos down in Salinas. Well, now they're playing a 1 o'clock game on a Saturday, just 2.8 miles from their campus at MA. I think both teams will have big crowds there. That should be one heck of a game. And Cal Preps is predicting, they're predicting a close game too, 24-21 for MA.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the home field advantage.
A couple other games in the CCS. I mean, all of these games look great. Salinas, the defending Open Division I champion, is going on the road to play Wilcox. Wilcox is undefeated. Cal Preps predicting a 28-21 Wilcox victory. That sounds about right. I think it's going to be really tight. Wilcox put up 60 against Piedmont Hills last week. I think they're the favorite at home. If this game were in Salinas, maybe not, but at home they're predicted to win.
Yeah, I think Wilcox wins. I think they win by a couple of touchdowns myself.
Wow. Okay. Sarah getting another chance against its league mate St. Francis will be the 4th time these teams have played one another in the past 2 years. Last year, St. Francis was swept by Sarah. Sarah won the league and then beat St. Francis in the section championship game for Open Division II. This year, they're meeting in the Open Division II semifinals at St. Francis. And St. Francis is predicted to end Sarah's season with a 31-17 win by Cal Preps.
Yeah,
You
this
think it's
game,
going to be tighter?
No, I think that this is a game where I could see Sarah getting off to a fast start and making things interesting. I think St.
Remember,
Francis
we predicted Sarah would win
Yeah,
the last time.
no,
We blew that
I wouldn't
one.
do that
We
one
totally
again.
blew that.
I think St. Francis wins the game, but I think, again, you talk, well, of course, they both played last week, so they're not looking at the long layoffs.
No.
But, no, I think St. Francis is a really good football team this year.
Valley Christian expected to take care of business against Midi, 31-7. There are some really intriguing matchups. Before we get to Divisions 4 and 5 in the CCS, Sacred Heart Prep and Sacred Heart Cathedral are going to go at it at 1 o'clock at Sacred Heart Prep on Saturday. That should be a tight game, and Cal Preps also predicts it will be a tight game, 21-14 for Sacred Heart Prep.
I'm predicting a Sacred Heart victory.
One of them is going to
One
win.
of them.
One of them's going to win. Open division or divisions 4 and 5. These are non-bowl qualifying divisions in the CCS, but all of those teams are 9-2 or better on the season. They've got like 3 11-0 teams going at it this weekend in those 2 divisions.
Yeah, there are a lot of good teams.
There are
in
a lot
those
of
divisions.
a lot of good teams playing on their own level playing field, and Overfelt's going to be at Burlingame. Burlingame is predicted to win 31-21. Carlmont, a game that you're going to be at, will be at Independence in San Jose. Independence is 11-0, and Cal Preps is predicting a 28-14 Independence win. And then in the other 2 divisions, what do we have? The Kings Academy predicted to beat Monterey 28-21, and then Carmel and Gonzales both 11-0, and Carmel predicted to win fairly easily. I think Carmel's really good, 44-21. Anything else we need to touch on the NCS before we talk about a couple of the issues at play here? One being, I don't think we've talked on video yet since the coin flip was passed last week. Did we? Can't remember.
No, I don't think we have.
Well, we were both on that conference call when the executive committee passed that now infamous decision to have a coin flip if they aren't able to finish the playoffs in the NCS and the teams, the finalists, have not played against each other this season, which we were looking at it, I would say probably about a 70%, 80% chance in most divisions that they're going to do the coin flip.
Yeah.
I mean, if Campo gets through to the Division 2 final against Rancho Cotade, there will be no coin flip.
Right.
Speaking of Campo, Mitch Stevens had a story yesterday that Campo and the Cardinal Newman coach and a couple other coaches put together a proposal that would expand the state playoffs just for this season and avoid the coin flip. But I read it a couple of times. I would be very surprised if the CIF or NCS move forward on it.
No, I think it's a little bit too complex, a little bit too convoluted,
and a lot of teams would have, a lot of sections would have, all the sections would have to be involved, and that's
right,
you know,
right.
So it looks like we are going to come down to a coin flip in some of these divisions, and it's just it's a head scratcher that it's gotten to this point. We're obviously crushed by what's going on in Paradise. We discussed that last week on video. I just wish the NCS could have found a place to play. I know Gil Lemon tried. They were going to send teams up to Eureka. I guess it would have been going up on Monday, but it was going to cost, I think Gil estimated it was going to cost about $4,500 per school. He said the NCS couldn't foot the bill. I mean, it was going to be about $126,000 between the teams that were traveling. So now we're left with 4 divisions that are not going to be completed, and unless something else unforeseen happens.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to see this happen. I'm not as against the coin flip as some of the other people are. I don't think it's the best way to solve it. They did
it in Texas, and in the most famous book about high school sports. Sorry, Neil Hayes and De La Salle, but the Friday Night Lights book. They did do a coin flip in there at a truck stop.
Right. And I mean, they should. Well, you should go ahead and talk about your suggestion for the coin flip. I'm not as offended by it as some of the people are.
Do an event, and maybe not a truck stop. I mean, we don't obviously they don't go to like Applebee's or Chili's or something, and bring in the team captains, and NCS should stream it, sell some advertising, give the money to all those victims in Paradise, and have some fun with it. It's a bad situation, obviously. Nobody wants the season to end with a coin flip, but if it's going to, don't do it behind closed doors where nobody sees it or anything like that. I mean, it is what it is now. I mean, unless the CIF and the NCS, take a look at that proposal and decide to pass it, most of these divisions are going to come down to a coin flip.
Well, yeah. I mean, all 4 of them very well could come down to a coin flip. Again, it's not the best solution. The format they're using was determined by Super Liberty Union Superintendent Eric Volta, who played at Stanford and coached at Wilcox.
Won some CCS titles.
And he has said that this was something that he didn't want to do. It's a last resort, but it's a solution.
Right, and it's a solution that probably is actually going to. I couldn't believe it when I saw it on the agenda originally. Were you surprised they didn't pick the higher seed to move on?
Yeah, I was a little bit. That might have just been the best solution at all. The higher seed moves on.
Right, or they were going to go nobody goes on. But the CIF did extend an olive branch to the NCS late last week when this all unfolded, and the teams decided they weren't going to go to Eureka. That CIF told the NCS that if the teams agreed to just play the section out and not go to regionals, that would be okay. But when I was talking to Gil, we kind of like looked at some of the teams and pretty much concluded that none of them were going to take the CIF up on that offer. They'll take the chances with the coin flip to see if they can keep their state championship dreams alive.
But the playoffs have expanded over the years. I mean, if you look at the history in California, I mean, at one time section champions were it. You won your section. That was the end of the season.
Right.
There was a time when there weren't even section tournaments.
Right. So it is what it is. There was some news in CIF this week where they moved the Open Division state championship game back to its original date, which means they're going to play the Bosco Modern Day winner from this Friday night in the Southern Section Division I Championship will advance the Open State game, which will now be played December 8th at Cerritos College of Norwalk. That's the game that traditionally has De La Salle in it. De La Salle beats Liberty or Clayton Valley the weekend of November 30th, December 1st. It will advance to that game. Going to make things tough here because we're going to have a lot of NorCal regional championship games up here, and then we're going to have the one game down in Southern California. And then some teams from up here are going to go back to Southern California the next weekend to play their state games. It's a crazy situation.
Well, to me, the thing it does is obviously the Open Championship is the state championship.
Right, but to me, it reminds me of when they used to play all those New Year's Day bowl games, all the big ones, and then they would have some small bowl game in Detroit on like January the 5th or 6th on that Saturday just to fill space. And you're like, why are they even playing? Weren't the big games a couple days ago?
Well, and that's what this is going to be. I mean,
although there are some huge divisions beyond the Open. I mean,
Division 1 is a big division. Division 2 is a big division.
The one that's going to have Folsom, the one that's going to have Liberty, St. Francis, or Valley Christian, Wilcox, Menlo Atherton. We'll see where those teams end up.
And in high school, it's a much narrower view. I mean, you follow your high schools.
Right.
So the people who don't go to St. John Bosco or Modern Day or De La Salle, they might look at the scores, they might look at the games, they'll get national attention, but in the end, hey, you're just as happy if you're going to the Section 1 or Division 1 state final. Right.
Before we wrap up, did we have any other points before we get to the big one that I know we want to talk here at the end? Did we have, anything else on there?
No, I mean, just some good matchups. We hope they get them in, and unfortunately, I guess there are going to be some coin flips, and I mean, one thing that really made an impression on me, and I just have to get this out. One of the coaches down there at the end was talking to his kids, one of the South Bay coaches, and he said, as much as we're inconvenienced by everything that happened, the Paradise team was 8-2. They don't know if they're going to be able to sleep in a bed tonight.
He did say that. Nelson Gifford said that.
Right, and I think that, my Twitter feed blew up. I know other Twitter feeds blew up. A lot of people have been pissing and moaning about all this. Hey, it's not the end of the world. Somebody will win a state championship, somebody won't. But who cares in the end? I mean, it's 1 year, and this will all be forgotten.
And remember, the school in Friday Night Lights that won the coin flip won a state title that year.
Okay.
So maybe that coin flip will boost someone up to the...
I just want to know what coin they're going to use.
Good point. Good question. Now, finally, the big game on Thursday at Independence High. The big bone game. We've been talking about this for weeks. Lincoln High, which will come in at 7-2. They're going to be going up against rival San Jose High, coming in at 1-9. For all the marbles, for all the big bone, the big gigantic trophy. And Cal Preps is predicting a nail biter. 60-0 for Lincoln.
All right.
I'm going to be there.
Have a good time. I'm not going to be there.
So what do you think?
The more I thought about it, no, seriously. This is a game that should be played. It's a fine tradition. but
do the
play
dance
it
and
during
everything.
the regular season. You make it one of the 10 games on your regular season schedule. The league or the section or whoever has to get involved, all they do is they give these schools a special dispensation. Maybe they play it as the last game of the season. They can have their dance, they can have their fundraisers, they can do whatever ceremonies they have before this game. I mean, it's unfair that Lincoln High is not in the playoffs with a 7-2 record. That's my big gripe. I mean, traditions have to change at some point. Lincoln High deserves to be in the CCS playoffs.
You did read the newsletter this week.
Yes.
You did read that Lincoln's 4 league mates all lost in the first round by an average of 37 plus per game.
So?
The closest game was 20 points.
So
if Lincoln had made the playoffs, more than likely they were going to have a similar fate.
You know, I can't get in the heads of all the players on the Lincoln High team. But if I'm a player at Lincoln High, I want a chance to play in the playoffs. I don't care that the other 4 teams in the league lost by an average of 37 points. Lincoln didn't lose. You know, I'm sorry. This is a game that should be played during the regular season. They can have all their events. They can have all their fundraisers. But Lincoln High deserves to be in the playoffs. And they are, I mean, it's really unfortunate.
Should I tell them to leave a piece of the bone for you? Because you're going to be at the Independence High on Friday night for the Independence Carmont game.
Hey, you know, I mean, we should get some of the Lincoln kids to come out, and maybe we can go find somewhere to bury the ball.
I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be at another game, but you're going to be there.
That would be the day after.
Yeah, you're going to be there.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I say, it's just time to play the game during the regular season. What, you can't find 1 week during a 10-game regular season to play that game?
Anything else before we wrap it up? We good?
Yeah.
I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Obviously, our thoughts are with people up in the Paradise Chico area, Butte County, just utter devastation. And let's, hope that the kids down here actually get to play so we get some games in. And Freitas has his big NorCal Tip-Off Boys Basketball Showcase. 8 games at Newark Memorial, a lot of local teams involved. And that is Saturday. I think it starts at like 9:30 in the morning.
It's going to have to start early with 8 games.
8 games, yes. So that's a wrap. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. It is free. If you want to subscribe and get all of our content, that's, I think, 12 cents a day. So do that. Check us out online, mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. We have a lot of high school coverage throughout the week, and then obviously on the weekends when the games are played. Wrap? All right.